People are voting in the United Kingdom. Bad sign, weather's very bad. Good sign, a lot of anecdotal and otherwise, strong evidence of people saying, people voting for Labour the first time. There has been a decent uptick for Corbyn and Labour in the polls in the past couple of weeks. And it does seem that with at least, the media bias against Corbyn is gargantuan. The same BBC editor who shared basically a fake video. Essentially, there was the notion that a Labour activist had punched, I believe, an advisor to a Tory MP. Completely false. And the real, iPhone footage was put out and it debunked the story, but the video was shared by the BBC politics editor. And I use this as an example of what is overall a systemic BBC bias against Labour. And I listened to a British analyst on Novara yesterday. I'm forgetting her name at the moment, but she said that the bias has been so bad that the day that Boris Johnson was speaking to a reporter, and the reporter was trying to show him a picture of a child with pneumonia sleeping on coats at a hospital because there wasn't a hospital bed available. And Boris Johnson took the phone out and put it in his pocket. Took the phone out of the reporter's hands, put it in his pocket because he didn't want to see the picture. And this analyst said, when that story, believe it was that story, led the news that night, she realized how bad the coverage had been because she was surprised that they actually led with that story. Here it is, if you want to see it. It happens earlier in the clip, I think it's that.
Have you seen the photo? I've been told about it by the BBC. We need to be making investments. This is the photo. We need to be making investments now. And that's why we're putting £34 billion.
This is a 4-year-old boy, Prime Minister, suspected of pneumonia, forced to lie on the floor on a pile of coats.
I understand. And obviously we have every possible sympathy for everybody who has a bad experience in the NHS. And that's why we're putting the record investment into the NHS now. But we cannot get on and make those investments. We cannot get on and turn this country
around. Well, I guess, he does take it somewhere in this clip. I think he takes it, it's... Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I guess that's
my phone, put it in your pocket, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Forward, and we are investing in the NHS. And what would be the worst thing possible would be to have a government that is mired in more deadlock, more disarray, and unable to move forward. So I have every sympathy with...
You refuse to look at the photo. You've taken my phone, put it in your pocket, Prime Minister. His mother says the NHS is in crisis. What's your response to that?
I'm sorry,
look. So, look, but it seems that some people are really starting to pay attention and realizing that the very state that the NHS is up for play, the very nature of whatever remnants after 10 years of Tory and Lib Dem attacks are in play. Now, of course, there's a handful of seats where you should vote tactically. Those are a very small amount of seats, and you should be very clear. To their credit, a couple of Lib Dem MPs have at the last minute encouraged a Labour vote, so that at least mean in 2 specific seats or 1 specific seat, so that at least means that at least some of them are genuine. Now, Boris Johnson, in spite of, Jeremy Corbyn sits there and gets his reputation slandered. He gets dismissed. He gets condescended to. He gets lied about, and mostly handles it, if anything, I wish maybe a bit more aggressively. Boris Johnson does not want to talk about his government's record and certainly get called on any of his constant dishonesty. Here he is earlier today. Watch how he dodges this reporter and watch what his campaign spokesperson does.
Morning, Prime Minister. Will you come on Good Morning Britain, Prime Minister? I've just had a reaction here from one of the minders.
Wow.
Okay, don't push. Thanks very much.
On his face.
Wow.
That minder.
You're not getting near Boris. Prime Minister, will you come on Good Morning Britain and deliver on your promise to talk to Piers and Susanna? We're ready to go. We're live on ITV right now. Prime Minister, we have an earpiece in my pocket. You're more than welcome to come on. I'm actually being pushed.
The guy said, fuck off. For people who didn't pick it up. By the way, I love that guy's face. I relate to him. And you know what? Bhaskar Sunkara made a great point about this actually on the same Nuvara thing last night he was on. He was like, the difference is I mean, one, in the United States, reporters cannot get close to a president like that, right? So there's definitely a more open and adversarial system in that respect than the UK. On the flip side, for all of the comparisons between Johnson and Trump, and there are many, Donald Trump would have been combative. He wouldn't have hidden a fridge. I don't see how anybody likes how that looks. Here's Jeremy Corbyn responding.
It's a serious manifesto and it's fully funded, and we've put ourselves out there to be questioned on this. I take questions on our manifesto, John McDonnell does and everybody else. I don't have to go and hide in a fridge.
Go out there. You still have time. Save your country. Vote for the Labour Party.
Yeah, if you can vote in this election and you're listening to this right now, go do that.
Go
please.
do it. It's okay. A little bit of rain sucks. This one actually, and I won't even do the fake thing. There are some elections that you shouldn't miss any. I get it. Of course you shouldn't. But this is one you can't miss. This is going to be the very fate of your National Health Service, and the nature of your country is in play. Go vote for Jeremy Corbyn. Vote for Labour. Do it now.
And you know what? I feel like everyone listening to this program probably is already voting, in which case, tell other people to vote. Help get out the vote.
Yeah, get your friends that aren't Majority Report listeners in the UK.
Exactly.